Yo, everybody, it's time for the first Chip Chat of the year. As writer, artist, and all-around man about comics, Chip Zdarsky will be joining me for a year-long series of interviews. We're going to be talking about everything, with each month bringing a different subject. To start with, though, we have to check in with the most important side of Chip Zdarsky of all. Chip, how are you doing as a person?
Well, first of all, when you say year-long interview, it makes it sound like we're doing this for a full year, which I'm only giving you an hour today.
You need to check your email, man, because that is slightly different than we agreed upon.
Oh, God. As a person, I'm okay. Yeah, I think so. I made it through the holidays, and we're in year 2 of a house renovation, and I lost my mind today. So I just apologized to my wife for losing my mind. It wasn't at her. I want to clarify that. I love and respect her. But I was just so mad at HVAC of all things, and I was just like fuming. And she's like, "It's okay, have your feelings." I'm like, "Okay, I'm just goddamn mad." And so yeah, I'm calming down thanks to you and your dulcet tones.
Yes, and the fact that I'm not HVAC,
and you're not HVAC.
that is a huge thing. I did actually want to ask you. You told me before we started recording that you took a 2-week break, which was the longest. Like, is that the longest since you got into comics, basically?
It's the longest of my adult life.
Wow.
Probably since, school, right? Like summers off. Yeah. And I think the most I've ever actually taken up before that was like 3 days, where I just like fully just took 3 days off from creating, I should say. Like I had to check emails because Marvel's still sending stuff to press. People still need answers. Artists need to know if their pages are good to go for inking, stuff like that. So you're never fully off. I don't know any comics person who can actually fully take time off. But yeah, I didn't write anything. I didn't draw anything for work. but my downtime was I did an oil painting of Nathan Fielder.
Oh, nice.
For a portrait show that a friend was doing this month, and I did a giant X-Men homage drawing. Did you see it on my?
I did see it. Everyone's smiling at the camera.
Yeah, that's sitting on my table right now. It's gigantic. So I spent my time doing that, and I wrote half of a screenplay for a buddy of mine who's a director, and he's looking for a project. I'm like, well, let me try and write something for you. So I mean, that was my time off. And house stuff, so it's like it's not fully time off, but like I like making things. So I told my wife that doing this X-Men piece, for listeners and viewers that don't know, I've been doing like this homage series, which are classic comic covers, but everyone's smiling. I'm just gonna grab it. I'm gonna grab it. It's like a show.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second.
Sure.
Yeah, please fill the air.
Okay. Chip Zdarsky. I have no idea how to fill the air, but I'm going to do it anyways. Chip Zdarsky's favorite things are long walks on the beach, dolphins, and he really likes sandwiches, or banh mi sandwiches. There we go.
Okay. All right. Here I go.
Oh, yeah. That is massive.
It's insane.
Is that what took 2 weeks? You just did that for 2 weeks?
No, this was 2 days.
Yeah. You know what would be a good X-Men cover to do that with would be Days of Future Past.
Yeah, no, it's on my list.
Yeah.
It's on my list. I've got the next 8 planned out, and that's on there. So yeah, I mean that took 2 days, and it's very rare that I spend more than a day on anything art related. So that was a long time for me. And I told my wife, because I started on Boxing Day, and she laughed at me that this is how I relax. And I told her it's like this is exactly what it's like for me to do like a puzzle, like a jigsaw puzzle, because that's all I'm doing. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. I'm working from a template. It's very relaxing.
I mean, I think some people might be surprised to hear that's a version of somebody relaxing, is like that's doing your job kind of, but in a different way. But there's a difference between doing something you have to do and doing something you want to do.
Yeah. And after I finished it, I sent it to Jim Lee.
Which what did he say?
A real bold move. He loved it, thank God. And he sent me an homage cover he did, and he was just like, it's so fun to do these because you learn so much from the artist while you're doing them. I'm like, oh yeah, 100%. Like I've done a couple of these now, and like kind of working over somebody's work really makes you appreciate that artist even more, like the decisions they make. So yeah, it's a fun it's a fun project. I want to do like 10, 12 of these so I can have a proper art show with them.
I'm sorry to add one more to your list.
Yeah.
Jim Lee's Punisher War Journal covers, the one where he steals the jet ski. Have you ever seen that one?
Oh yeah, no.
Oh no, I guess technically it states on the cover that he rented the jet ski, but
yeah, and you can kiss it goodbye. Yeah,
he looks unhappy about the experience, but I feel like he could look happy.
He should be happy about it. Yeah, it's funny. There's some covers I'm just like, I think Jerry Duggan said, "Oh, you got to do like the night Gwen Stacy died." I'm like, yeah, but there's no one like on the cover where she actually dies. It's just a bunch of random faces.
Yeah,
and some of them are already smiling.
Yeah,
so I was like, well, that doesn't do anything. And then the one after with the big reveal, it's like, it's hard to show Spider-Man smiling and Green Goblin's already smiling. So it'd just be like dead Gwen Stacy smiling, which is still funny, but
a little dark, a little too dark, maybe.
You want dark? I'll send you. I just did the pencils for 2 new ones. I'm doing a Batman Year One cover. The one of like
with the parents?
No, the one of Gordon like firing at Batman, except Gordon's looking at you and smiling.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the Green Lantern Green Arrow one with Speedy.
Speedy with his drugs?
With Speedy shooting up and looking at you and smiling. And Green Lantern Green Arrow smiling as they explain the situation. Yeah, it's just good old fashioned fun. And there's an artist statement behind it. Because people always complain, comics, they're too dark and blah, 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 grim and gritty. Why can't comics be the way they used to be? And like, this is just me showing that comics were always like angsty and angry and like, heroes fighting heroes, like, that Cap Wolverine cover, like they've always been like that. Very rarely are they happy.
I very strongly support this. Also, I'm glad that you're happy. You seem like you're really enjoying it. I'm going to admire you, though, in the present reality, unfortunately. Are you okay with that?
Oh.
It's time to talk comics. And, Chip, it's a weird time for the world, for the comic industry, for the direct market, for recovering magazine mavens like yourself. So let's talk about that. How are you feeling about the health of the comic industry, and in particular, the direct market as we move into 2026?
I mean, this is very funny that I'm kind of the follow-up to you doing this with James Tinian, the 4th, because he's super smart and he pays attention to things, and I am not, and I don't pay attention to things. So I'm going to give you such a limited worldview. So yeah, things feel good.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
I mean, like I only have, the only thing I have to go on are just like friends complaining. Right. I don't have many friends. So, like people seem excited. Like all the DC stuff last year really hit, like all the Absolute stuff, which is great. Like I think as well deserved as well. I think it's a great sign for everyone because they're books that are creator first for the most part. It kind of allowed the understanding within, the Marvel DC system is that it isn't the creators that sell, it's the characters. Or, maybe you can have a hot writer and a bad artist and you'll still sell plenty of books, or vice versa. But taking risks and using artists who are just genuinely great artists who maybe you wouldn't immediately think of for these kind of titles is huge. It's huge. And I've heard stories in the past at both Marvel and DC about like, an interesting artist being brought on board a project and like higher ups being like, no, like you're going to kill this with this artist that we all agree is great, but doesn't move the needle in the comics market. Like, there's a lot of stories like that. And so seeing like Nick Dragotta, who is like great, like genuinely great. I've worked with him. I've read his stuff for years, and to see the fans and the readers just really take to his stuff is awesome. And we were talking about Javier Rodriguez before this, like same thing, right?
Yeah,
like just inventive, solid layouts. Like I'm bad at looking at like what the market is and what the market needs, that kind of thing. But layouts, good, strong layouts I think are so important and nobody realizes it. I think a lot of people read a book and they're like, if they go away from it like, oh yeah, that was okay, I didn't really like it, but they don't know why they didn't like it. I feel like 9 times out of 10 it's the storytelling. 9 times out of 10 it's the layouts. Like you can look past a weird face or whatever that, maybe isn't the style you're accustomed to, but if the impact of the layout and the storytelling hits you, then you've got it made.
I don't want to disagree with you that you don't know this as well as James or something like that, but I think that you
definitely not as well as James.
I know
That's
that.
A given.
I think the foundation of like why the industry did well in 2025 is like the creative things you're talking about, and I think that like you look throughout the history of comics and like the high times are directly correlated to, are you taking risks in storytelling? When you take those risks, are you making them things that people respond to, things that people can understand, things like that? You don't pay attention to this stuff, but 2025 brought in a lot of new readers. Like every retailer I'm talking to is like, we're seeing tons of people who are excited about Absolute coming in. I think that they're responding to it for the same reason why people responded in 1986 and people responded in like 2000 when Ultimate hit and yada, yada, yada. And it's because it's awesome and it feels different.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a fresh start.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can't overlook that. DC's always been really good at that. I mean, almost to a fault in some cases, with the constant reboots.
Yeah.
But like their perennial list is deeper than Marvel's, right? Like the ones that, you can just hand to somebody and they get it right away. Like that story is its own story. And Absolute's just another example of that. Until eventually it gets mired down in continuity, which I'm sure,
I know.
I'm sure will happen. I'm not pretending to know what is going to happen. Like I don't have that kind of insight. I think they're such strong books individually, and I know they're kissing here and there. Wonder Woman, Batman, Wonder Woman, whatever. Once they start doing like the big crossovers, like it'll be interesting to see if they can maintain that. Probably, because I think, Scott's in charge of it, and Scott's super smart. Like he understands how far to push that kind of thing and when to kind of pull back. Because yeah, you want to keep the readers. You don't want to have them be like, oh, now I got to buy this over here to understand that. Like you don't want that. So yeah, I think they know that because there's enough history of that, and things going off the rails as a result.
I do want to ask one question about like your, I don't know if resistance is the right word, but like your lack of desire to pay super close attention to everything that's going on in the industry. Is that just because like paying close attention to it doesn't really benefit you and you just like keep the blinders up so you can focus on the work itself?
Maybe a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a sports guy, but if I was a sports guy, I wouldn't be doing fantasy football. I'd just be watching football, right? I'd enjoy it, but I wouldn't want to get in the weeds on like who's doing what and like what coach is better. I don't know. Like I just want to I want to see the end result. I don't want to know how it's made. So yeah, I mean, would I sell better if I did? Maybe. Like if I kind of understood the market better and what's needed and what's hitting. I don't know if I've had a super number of missteps, but like sometimes you'll put a book out and it's not the right book for that time. And I'm sure I've done it. Others have done it. I used to pay more attention when I wasn't a creator. Like I was kind of more interested in all of that stuff. And I am interested in the history of these books. And I love reading interviews with creators about the history of the companies, especially. But yeah, I don't know. When you're in it, it's just like, I just don't have the time. Like I know there's 3 or 4 creators who like a day doesn't go by where they're not on the phone with another creator, like gossiping or talking about the state of the market, that kind of thing. And that's just not me. Like I'll have maybe one proper conversation with a comic creator every month, maybe. Probably my closest friend in that regard is Jerry Duggan. And usually Jerry knows everything. So you're kind of getting everything in the one phone call a month of what's happening in the industry. But yeah, just if I was an editor, I'd feel differently. If I was an editor, I'd follow it a lot closer.
I mean, it's fascinating. Like one of the things that I've talked to a lot of people about recently is like sales charts, and like I'm the oddball, much to the chagrin of some of my peers in the field of comics journalism and comics podcasting. I actually don't really want sales charts back, and I have a complex reasons, but I don't need to get into that here. But like, people are like, well, it would help the industry, and I'm like, 3 of the best years in like the history of the direct market were in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I don't know how they how would it help the industry? What's their reasoning?
Because people would have a better idea of what's working and like what's hotter than you might realize, and it might draw more attention, basically. I mean, my argument is it's a want, not a need. And that like people like it, and I like it. Don't get me wrong. I am the person who 100% plays fantasy football. I'm the person who plays fantasy baseball because fantasy football is not like intensive enough for me.
Yeah, of course.
And so I love that stuff, but at the same time, it's like, do I think that it's going to materially impact absolute Batman because people know it's number one? Not really.
No, I don't think readers benefit from it because there's no way. Like I'm not like. On Monday, I'm not looking at the box office reports from Hollywood to determine what movie I should watch that week. Like that's just not a thing, right? Like
I think
like,
people used to, maybe. I think people used to.
But it only works with a number one. It only works with whatever is the biggest selling thing, right? Because they'll advertise it that way, like number one movie in Canada, which the commercials I get, and so it creates an awareness, like, oh yeah, a lot of people saw that. Maybe I'll check it out. But like. Finding out what's number 4 doesn't help you at all.
Number 9 in America.
Like, who's going, hey, well, I know it's Uncanny X-Men's at number 4 this month. Maybe I should check it out. Like, no one's doing that.
Right.
But if Uncanny X-Men was number 1, then people are inclined to check it out. But also, they're already checking it out. That's why it's number 1.
Right.
Like, so you're not, and they're probably talking about it on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, because it is number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what the impact would be. It is just funny how there's just like a perpetual discussion that you're not privy to because it's a different side of the world. But let's turn to the focus on you for real, because you do have a big year shaping up. Your Captain America run is going, and it feels like a core book for Marvel. I do want to say my friend Brandon Burpee was very excited that you're representing gingers because he is a redhead and he supports Colton's redheaded nature. You have Wolverine Weapons of Armageddon starting next month, and that's leading into Armageddon, the big Marvel event for the year where you're presumably destroying the Marvel Universe, and that's the end for Marvel.
That's apparently.
How is 2026 looking for you right now?
It's wild. It's wild for a couple of reasons. One, I'm done writing them all.
Really?
Yeah, I think as of this week, I'll have submitted my script for the final book of 2026.
Wow. This is why you can take 2 weeks off.
Well, that was my wife's reasoning. She's like, "You're really far ahead." We're like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, well, "Take some time off." But yeah, no, like 2025, I kind of cracked the code for my schedule and my habits, and so like, I've just been writing a lot faster. And so yeah, so I'm ahead. I'm very ahead. So that's weird for me because I look at 2026, I'm like, it's done. Like I'm already done. Like I still have all the art to come in, and the things change. When you're that far ahead, things can change, and you might have to rewrite a script here and there. Like that is the danger of of being really far ahead because you don't know what's going to change in the world or in the publishing plans. But yeah, I haven't signed it yet because we negotiated before the holidays. But like, I'm in for another 2 years at Marvel. My last contract was a 2-year one, and I finished it in a year. So I'm just like. Yeah, it was like 2 years worth of books, and I just
okay,
because a lot of those contracts work like you have to deliver like 36 issues within 2 years, or 2 years, and that's when it ends. But because there was a lot going on for this year, I really hit the ground running and wrote a lot. So yeah, so it's weird, and like. The Avengers Armageddon thing is super funny because like I don't really consider it an event, but I think just because of the nature of the internet and also my striking design,
it was very nice, very nice. It invited questions. Who is this person in a cape? What is this cube they're holding, etc.
That's what you want. That's what you want, right?
Yeah.
But the unfortunate side effect is it makes it seem really important.
Yeah,
and it is, but it's also like. I just don't write that way. I'm not like, all right, here's an event. Like I just wrote a story that I thought was like big and cool and interesting. And then Marvel's like, oh, wow, this is a cool event. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I guess that's what it's called. And they're like, oh, like, and to make the event work, the miniseries, the Wolverine miniseries kind of cropped up in my head. So we added that to it, and it goes kind of, and it ties into Cap. So like, because it feels like a big thing. God, the more I talk about it, the more I realize I'm doing an event.
Yeah, I think you are. Well, and also part of the thing is like, I don't think that readers or fans or whomever was like really doing anything that Marvel themselves weren't presenting it as. It
Yeah.
felt like it was supposed to be like the big deal of, they're like, I think they even said like their summer event or summer blockbuster, Armageddon.
Yeah, they did. And I think that's also like one of the things of like working so far ahead is like, it means they can like start promoting it far ahead. And if they do that far ahead, that signals an event, right? Because like you really got to plan those out. Yeah, I mean, it's a big story. It's like, it's definitely the biggest thing I've done in terms of like story and kind of the effects on the Marvel universe, all that stuff. So yeah, I guess the more I talk about it, the more I realize it's bigger than I think it is.
I wonder if like a product of you being so far out on your schedule, on your scripts and everything, is that like, because you're like, oh, I'm just doing this because I'm telling the story, maybe like Marvel could see the shape of it before you could. And now you're like kind of realizing it. You're like, oh, wait, maybe this is an event.
Yeah, I think so. That's probably part of it. Yeah, because I presented it to them too, just like on a well-designed kind of schedule too, like where things hit and how it's going to play out and who's on what and how many issues. And so, yeah, I guess I fed the beast a little bit.
That it's funny too, though, because when I said that, I was like, it'll be interesting to see Chip write an event. Somebody was like, well, he did Devil's Reign. And I think in my head, I kind of categorize Devil's Reign as like a Daredevil story, even though it is technically an event. But that was how you approached it. So it's kind of funny. You're like 2 for 2 on writing events accidentally.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite events come out of story.
Yeah, I think the best events do.
Yeah, I think World War Hulk is one of those where it's like Greg Pak just wrote like an amazing Hulk story and, you know, did Planet Hulk stuff. And then like, it just felt like a natural end to that, like Hulk coming back for revenge, essentially. And that was big and it was huge. And it followed on, you know, a couple of years worth of like really solid stories. And so Devil's Reign kind of felt a bit like that. Like I remember when I was kind of pitching what was coming up in Daredevil, as soon as I kind of started to talk about those events, you could just see it in like the eyes of like the editors where there's like, oh, okay, this could be bigger than just contained within the pages of Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
And then you rewrite based on that a little bit. Like obviously you include more characters and kind of make the stakes a little bit bigger. This is a case where like it is its own thing. Like it's not necessarily, it wasn't in Captain America and I pulled it out to turn it into this. This is like writing Captain America and realizing, oh, after this could spring something out over here that's bigger. So we just went ahead and did that. It's weird and fun to just kind of come back to Marvel with, you know, Captain America, which is not normally, you know, a top selling title. And then kind of quickly just kind of like basically present story ideas that build off of it that kind of become bigger. And then Marvel just kind of trusts me with taking that forward.
Yeah. I mean, like probably my favorite stretch for Marvel, and I know a lot of people will be like, you're an insane person or whatever, is the 2004 to 2010 range. And I think it was because like everything felt like they organically built from everything, where it was like Bendis was doing Avengers Disassembled, then it goes into New Avengers, and then Civil War or House of M comes up and Civil War and et cetera, et cetera. And like it just kind of felt like everything was built from story in a very good way. That's not to say it isn't now or it wasn't other times or whatever, but like I like hearing how organic that is because, again, that's, I think, where the best stuff kind of comes from.
I had an interesting conversation with Josh Williamson when he was starting out on Iron Man, like trying to figure out Iron Man. And I guess at one point he just kind of was like, he was asking around, he's like, what's the Marvel book that I should be reading that like lets me know what's happening in Marvel books?
Fair question.
And there wasn't one really. Like everyone's a little bit siloed off. The X-Men stuff's very much X-Men, Spider-Man. You know, Jed doing Avengers stuff, that felt very siloed off as well. Because there hasn't been like Bendis was really good at that, like being like the guy, like, oh, you read New Avengers to know what's kind of happening.
It was the architect era.
A little bit. And Hickman as well, when he was kind of building up his FF and Avengers stuff leading to Secret Wars, like those are the books that you read to kind of know where the Marvel universe was heading. And it's not to take away from any of the other books. Like those, like you have like great stories happening elsewhere, but when you kind of want the overview of where everything's going, there's usually a book to kind of to lock into and read. I kind of pitched it a little bit as Cap, like kind of because the second arc that's starting up is like very much, bringing back Shield, and it's like post One World Under Doom, and the state of the world for Marvel, and that arc leads into Armageddon, Weapons of Armageddon, and these are the titles that, like, if you want to know what's happening and what we're building towards, these are the books that you read. You'll see all the characters, and they'll all come together and figure things out, and we've got big reveals in Armageddon, which will, change the Marvel universe forever. No, but there are things in Avengers Armageddon where, when I pitched it, people's eyes lit up in the room, and they're like, "Oh, okay, all right, that's great." Like, and a lot of it's just stuff like, I think when it happens, people are like, "Oh, of course."
Yeah.
Right. But also, no one's going to see it coming. So it's kind of it's my favorite kind of like comic book story thing, right?
I like it. This reminds me of when I was just talking to Bendis for a video that I'm coming up with. And he was talking about his Avengers run, and when he was originally talking about the idea of having Wolverine and Spider-Man in the Avengers. And he said he looked at Dan Buckley and he saw like cartoon dollar signs in his eyes.
Yeah, of course.
And it's just like, oh my God, what have you done? And like, excitement in the room is a big thing. But I do want to talk. I think I talked to you about this last time you were on off panel. How different does your role at Marvel feel now relative to the one you had pre your gap years at DC? Like, does it feel like it's changed at all?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was lucky enough the last time I was at Marvel that some of the story things I did had legs and kind of kept selling after I left. So like Daredevil, like that omnibus sells relatively well. I think quite well for Marvel.
Really quick aside, I actually saw a video quite by accident on YouTube recently where there was like 12 people discussing the 10 books or something that you should get as a Marvel reader for the first time. I think they agreed your Daredevil omnibus was on there. And I was like, damn, good job, Chip. So
damn.
I'm not surprised it's selling well.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's always your hope, and it's nice that it sells well, and I'm sure the Netflix and then Disney show help as well. So it's not just doing it in a void, but there's that, and then there's Spider-Man Life Story and Avengers Twilight. Life Story especially when I travel, like when I do conventions, European conventions, I'm like, oh, okay, this made it everywhere. Like this is the book that I'm signing wherever I go. And so leaving Marvel and kind of having that continue while I'm off doing Batman stuff, I think helped Marvel's estimation of me a little bit. Like they enjoy working with me, I enjoy working with them. Like I never left because I was like, oh, I can't stand whatever or whoever. Like that was never the case. So coming back, it felt like
they saw you better.
Yeah, maybe. Very welcoming. And a little weird to be in the room because all of a sudden you're just like, oh, I'm the old guy. I mean, I look in the mirror and I know I'm the old guy, but like, it's funny just how quickly it changes. Like I've been doing this for 10 years in the Marvel room for like maybe 7 of those. With but then with like a 2-year gap there for Batman. And now I look around the room just like, oh, it's Hickman. Like he's the guy who's still here, who's, he's still the smartest in the room. He's still the best in the room. And then there's me. And then there's like, Jerry Duggan will pop in once in a while. But a lot of the faces are kind of new, kind of around the room, or, newish. A lot of the people I came in with aren't at Marvel anymore for a variety of reasons. And so, yeah, that's a weird position to be in where you're just like, oh, okay, I'm the old guy. And some of the young people, didn't grow up reading my stuff, but like they could be fans of mine. And that's also weird because like I didn't have that the first go around. Like I was the guy who was just trying to prove myself and that I belonged in that room. So you kind of automatically have a sense of seniority when you come back, which is weird. And also, you're just more comfortable. Like, you talked about Dan Buckley and it's the cartoon dollar signs. Like, I think I talked to Dan once, my first go-around at Marvel. He's the alpha in the room. Like, he's an intimidating figure. And, like, I didn't have a lot to talk to him about because I was just a lowly writer. So, I never went up to him on a coffee break and poked his mind about the industry. And I think this time around, I probably talked to Dan more than I've talked to almost anyone there.
Wow.
Like, we just kind of gravitate towards each other, and we have phone calls, and like we talk about the industry and the future of Marvel stuff, and and yeah. So that's a different thing.
I do want to talk about, you're done with your writing in 2026, and you talked about a lot of Marvel projects. It has to be noted that White House Robot Romance is wrapping the week we're talking, which means that the only visible plans we have for you currently are Marvel.
Yeah.
Is that one of those situations where you have secret plans in development? Does it reflect the environment? Does it speak more to the fact you're really busy at Marvel and there's only so much you can do, or is it some mix of all those things?
Maybe a mix. I have one more mini that is done that hasn't been announced yet, so I can't say much about it. And then public domain, which is the thing that I'm chipping away at. I know. I realize that I said it in the moments when I'm not kind of doing the covers and all the scripting. So those are kind of the priorities. I kind of know, just because I don't want to call myself a Marvel architect, but like it definitely feels like the next year or two, like I'm one of the guys anyways that's going to kind of help figure out the way forward for a lot of the line. Obviously Hickman's kind of like top dog when it comes to kind of that kind of thing. But knowing that, I'm just like, okay, I need to focus. I need to make sure that like I'm giving this the attention it needs. And also like, yeah, creator owned I love it. I've done very well with it. But also like I have to have the idea.
Right.
I don't ever want to find myself in a position where I'm just like, I don't know, maybe vampires meets aliens. Like I don't want to be that guy.
I like it though.
Like, oh,
I like it. Yeah.
I'm sure it's been done. Yeah, I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want to put something out just to put IP out. Like it's got to be a thing that I really want to make with a person that I really want to make it with.
Like yourself.
Well, yeah, like myself. But I also don't want to ask an artist to do a thing for free.
Yeah.
I don't want them to devote their time to a thing that's not going to help them feed their family. And I think right now it's a very hard place for that. So some of the creator-owned stuff is like ramping up on the Hollywood side. Like Stillwater is going to be a show at Amazon. And while that's not strictly creator-owned, like I'm still going to be kind of a part of it on some level. Like the writer's room starts end of January, I think. And I'm not going to be in it. And I already told them, like, I don't think it's a good idea for me to be in it.
Right.
Because I don't want a bunch of writers in a room going through the source material and not being able to shit on it.
Yeah.
Because they have to be free to do that. They have to look at it and go, yeah, this plot line sucks. We can't do this one, without them kind of looking over at me in the corner to see if I'm crying or not, which I will be.
Yes.
So I don't want to be in the writer's room, but I am going to visit and check in on it. And I think they'll probably, if things go the way they're supposed to go, they'll probably start shooting before the end of the year. So like, I want to be on set. I want to check that out. And, there's another kind of thing in the works that might get approved in the next couple of weeks that would also necessitate a writer's room and maybe shooting by the end of the year. So I'm like, if I have two things like that feels like where I kind of want my creator own headspace to be, is just being able to pop in and kind of like see the fruits of, my labor, and consult in any way that I can on those.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like it's like you love doing like the White Trees, and was Whisper Queen was the follow up with with Chris and Chris Anka and Matt Wilson. You love doing that, but at the same time, it's like you have to have the right idea. You also have to make sure it's worth Chris's time and Matt's time and your own time. And so it's like trying to find a balance with everything else. Like that's tough. I mean, like public domain, it's like I did a podcast with Patrick Brower from Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago on Saturday.
Oh, nice.
And he was showing me they have, right as you enter, there's like a rack of books where they're like, these are our 100% all the time recommendations. And as soon as they brought it up, it was like public domain, because I was so excited. But it's just like, I'm sure you have to balance public domain with the fact that, like, I know you told me previously, like when you were working on Batman, like you could only do Batman because it had so much responsibility for you from a Universal standpoint.
Yeah.
It's probably the same for Marvel. So it's like, it's all about finding a balance, right?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like public domain is easy enough for me to like, again, chip away at it off to the side because it's just me. So like, it's not like there's an artist sitting there waiting for pages and I could just be like, okay, all right, maybe this month I'll have a few pages done. Maybe next month I'll have 20 pages done. It doesn't ultimately matter. For White Tree stuff and Chris, like we've been talking about like a third part to that, like the kind of the finale. And I sat down and I wrote like 60 pages of it, and I didn't like it. So
Yeah.
I got to start over. like that's the other thing. Like there's the space afforded because it's not we both have jobs, and so we want to make sure it's super right before it goes out the door.
Because you're doing it for yourself, at least in part.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, we're not making money off that thing. Like technically, I'm losing money. Like I pay Chris, I pay Matt, I pay Hassan. Yeah, it's a money loser for me.
But you're gaining joy.
But I'm gaining joy, and it's the thing I want to see out in the world. And like,
yeah,
the hope is, especially when it's all finally done completely, we'll put out a collection, and maybe that'll live forever. And who knows? But yeah, some things you're just doing for love of it. Again, I'm very bad at the market.
I mean, honestly, like I like we talked about at the beginning, I honestly think that people respond to the things. It's like, I don't want to say you have to always be doing things for the right reasons. Otherwise,
Yeah.
No slander to variant covers, but variant covers probably wouldn't be like as big of a deal as they are. But I do think that helps. And like when you feel something that's like that, I think that's part of the reason why something like Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees has become such a big deal, because it's like Patrick Horvath is doing that, and like no one else could do that. No one else would want to do that. No one else would do it that way. It breaks so many rules of the way comics should be, and yet it is great and it's done really well. But
yeah, exactly.
To close, I do want to forecast out. It's a new year. You have unlimited free time to yourself. You can just take the next year off. The world is your oyster.
Oh my God.
What has you excited about life at Zdarsky in 2026?
Oh man.
Pickleball.
Honestly, the Stillwater TV show is super exciting.
Great creative team behind it.
I'm so blessed to have been friends with Ramon for so long, and to do this with him, and then to have this kind of become a thing. Last year was my first time seeing a character that I created on screen with Cole North and Daredevil. And that was super exciting. I became friends with the actor, and, we text and call, and like, that's weird. Especially when you do a Zoom call with somebody that looks like the guy that you created with your buddy Marco. Like, that's weird. But to see like a whole world kind of based off of mine and Ramon's work, like, that's going to be weird. Like, I read the pilot, and it's great. I remember I'm reading it as a fan too. I'm just like, oh wow, that's cool. Like, oh neat. The changes they made were additive. The things are a bit more kind of amped up and sped up a little bit. So I'm just like, oh no, this is smart. Like, it's fun to read it just kind of as a fan, and I think if by the end of the year I'm like on a set for Stillwater and I'm seeing all the characters and the town like brought to life, that's just going to be like the weirdest thing that could ever happen. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm super looking forward to just like, it sounds cheesy, but I'm looking forward to all the Marvel stuff. Like, we've got good, big, solid plans, and I've got some great artists, and I'm just like, let's go. Like, this is awesome. Like, February, we're going to have our big Marvel Summit. And so I'm going to be able to talk to the room, more at length about everything that's coming up, and could be spitballing for like the next couple of years. And like, that's exciting. It's exciting to be in that position and surrounded by like creators that like are very collaborative and that you respect. Like, I think like, again, Hickman's like the smartest guy I know, but he's the most helpful. Like, in that room, he's the guy who's just like, okay, but what if he did this? And you're like, oh, that's brilliant. Like, he's that guy. And yeah, whenever I get to pick his brain about something, it's awesome. So being able to kind of like figure out the next step for the Marvel Universe with him, I think is going to be super exciting.